discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and we are continuing with the top 100 games of all time, which, as time goes on, just makes this list more and more obsolete. But still fantastic games. We are in the top 30 now, so these
are the good ones, right?
These are really, like, out of 30 games, these are definitely the ones that I would just probably keep, like, forever. It's very hard. Like, I
need to look to see if I own all these.
Well, I know one of them, looking at my list, actually, for this segment. Okay, so I have 2 new games in this segment. This one's actually, yeah, these aren't as depressing of, like, huge drop-offs as,
Yeah, I have quite a bit of movement in mine. I have 3 new ones,
okay.
And I have some that have gained significant and lost significant. I mean, not huge, like our numbers earlier.
Not like 60,
right.
60 spots.
But there's been some movement. You're going to start seeing, because this is our 3rd year doing this.
Second.
Mm-hmm. We did top 10 of all time with the other,
Yeah.
So you're going to notice there's a lot of my top 10, you'll see a lot of really new top 10
Gotcha.
coming up.
Gotcha. So. Okay, well, with number 30, Kat's not here because, 1, she's at work, and 2, she probably doesn't want to do this anyway. So my number 30 is a game that we may actually be playing later on today, hopefully, which is Fury of Dracula. Fury of Dracula is probably... Hold on, let me look. So Letters from Whitechapel was already on the thing. It might be the best hidden movement game.
Did you put Hunt for the Ring on it? Was it on your list?
Hunt for the Ring was on my list. It was... Oh, man. Oh, actually, there it is. 77.
Okay.
So, which actually I recently played Hunt for the Ring, and it still holds up. I still think it's great. But Fury of Dracula, what makes this game fantastic, besides just sheer theme, and that it's like Bram Stoker's Dracula, is everyone has their unique abilities as the hunters, and then Dracula also has special abilities. So everyone feels cool, and even though it's a long game, and it will always be long, because to get to 13 influence takes forever, and to find Dracula and then kill him takes time. But it is tense. In my experience, it's been tense the entire time. Because with any hidden movement game, it is kind of tense for the one that's hiding, because they hear the discussion the entire time, and they have to have a poker face. Because there's multiple times where it's like, they're talking about exactly what you did. And there are times where I've had games where they've talked about exactly what I did from the very beginning. Like, okay, well, you had to do this and then go here. And then I'm just like,
yeah,
what is wrong with you? Who thinks like this? But what I love about it is when you have multiple people playing, because you can have, especially if you have 2 alpha players, then one will say, well, he did this, and then the other one will think he did something else, so then they'll argue. And the one I've had my friend who was right the entire time be swayed by someone else, and they went in a complete opposite direction. I'm like, thank you. But what's cool about this, unlike Letters from Whitechapel or Hunt for the Ring, is Dracula can fight back.
Right.
Like, you can win. I think you can also win as Dracula if you turn everyone. That I don't remember. But you, if people find you and it's nighttime, that's actually that's bad for them. Well, actually, they can't really move at night unless special cards. But if it's like daytime and they find you, it's like, oh crap, you found me. I can try to fight them. It would be pretty weak. But then once it's daytime, it's like, oh great, now you're now you're open. So that's why it's probably the highest on my list. It fell from 16, so 14 spaces, and that's due to just lack of play. I still think the game is fantastic. So that's my number 30, Fury of Dracula.
All right, my number 30.
And that's the 3rd edition with Fantasy Flight. I have not played the new WizKids one, which I'm pretty sure didn't change anything.
I think it's pretty much the same thing from what I've heard. But
which I think is good. I'm glad they didn't just change anything. This could...
But Hero Clicks in it.
Oh my god. Hero Clicks Dracula. I think... See, and the good thing about this one, too, is that it doesn't need anything else. Like, a lot of games, like, they keep coming out with expansions, and that's great. In Kickstarters, it's like a bunch of add-ons and stuff, but sometimes it's nice to get just the game and have that have legs.
Right.
Versus, like, oh, I need 10 expansions to make this game worth it. No, this game is fantastic. So anyway, sorry, number 30.
Oh, you're good. My number 30, I don't think you've played, and I can't look to see if you own it or not.
Oh yeah, I changed up my game room.
Istanbul.
Mm.
Is it down there?
Bottom shelf.
Oh, all right.
Yep. No, I've not played it.
All right. This one was 29 last year, so it's pretty much the same spot, just fell one. It would have probably fallen a little bit more, but there's an app for it now too, so I've gotten to play it through the app and everything. But you know, if you look at the cover, it looks kind of boring. Yeah. It's like, you know, and everything, but it's got some really cool mechanisms in it where pretty much you are trying to gain X amount of rubies. That's your end game.
It always makes me think, every time someone says Istanbul, I think of Jaipur.
Right.
Because, like, I don't know why, but I guess same theme.
It's kind of the same area, really.
Too. Is it? Yeah, okay.
You know, it used to be called Constantinople. That was when it first got
released.
Did it really? Istanbul was Constantinople was the name of the game.
You're kidding.
Oh.
It did really? Oh, yeah, that's funny.
No, back because when AEG did it.
I thought you were just making up. I thought you were doing this dad jokes on.
No.
Okay.
That's legit.
Okay.
Anyway, which I never played Constantinople, but anyway.
That's funny.
So what's cool is you have these cardboard rectangle things that are different parts of the city.
Okay.
And they randomly go out, and each one of those has its own thing. Like you can gamble in one, you can trade in another for different stuff, and you have a cart in front of you all the time, which lets you hold your resources.
Okay.
One of the spots you go to, you can get cart extensions to let you hold more of each thing. So it's kind of you're collecting sets and you're doing all this stuff, but you're gaining. You need to build up your cart while getting a bunch of stuff, and then you do these extra powerful deals to gain a ruby. And then a lot of them there's some boards that have multiple rubies on them, so the first person to get the ruby, it's cheaper, and the next one is more expensive, and so on. What's neat about it is you have a pile of discs, and it kind of goes the whole kind of a main color kind of thing.
Okay.
You have a stack of discs of your color, and as you move to different places, you leave off one of your deals. So you can only go so far. And then you have to, if you can get to I think it's the fountain, if you can reach the fountain, then that recalls everything to you. Or else you have to backtrack, pick up, and go around. So kind of, that's the movement is restricted in that way, so you can't.
Yep.
You can arrest other players' pieces. There's these two pieces. There's a purple. Gosh, it's been a while. A purple and a black that will move around the board, and they're AI. Deals. Okay. So if they end up in the same space as you have to either pay them money or
get arrested.
You know, do different stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's a very, like I said, the cover is dull.
Mm-hmm.
The board, when it's all set on the table, it's like, unless you love Euros and get hard at Euros or whatever.
Euros.
right, exactly. But then when you sit down and play it, it's really fun, you know? I mean, and knowing that you only have to get I can't remember the number, 5 rubies and you win, or whatever. It's really cool.
I bought it on reputation alone, just because I've heard so many good things about it that I'm like, okay, well, I have to give it a shot. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Sweet. 29, funny enough, is a game that you mentioned about Mancala. This rose 32 spaces. So it rose from 61, and it is what?
I said you're welcome.
And it's 5 tribes. So 5 Tribes is a phenomenal game. One game that I've actually never won in, and I just still love it. So 5 Tribes, if you don't know, is pretty much a themeless game. It's like just advanced Mancala, it feels like. But you have all these different colored meeples spread throughout the board, which if anyone were to look at it would just have like a panic attack, just because there's so many options at any given time. You can't really plan ahead. Like what I do is I find, okay, this is the move I want to do. And then if someone takes it, it's like, well crap, okay, well there's a bunch of other stuff. So you have tiles with all these color meeples on them, and then you grab one section and move them to another area, and the last one that you land on, you take all those meeples, and you're set collecting the meeples, which can get you a bunch of points, or they allow you to do special abilities. Like if you take the red ones, and you can kill someone else's meeple, or kill a meeple somewhere else.
Which is annoying.
It is annoying, and if you actually kill the last one on that tile, you get to claim it. So you're claiming these tiles as well, which will get you a bunch of points at the end. There's a set collection area, which you can buy cards, and then you're trying to collect these cards, which will get you a bunch of points. With the expansion, one of the expansions adds genies, which if you get them, then you can get special abilities or endgame points.
Too.
Huh?
They're in the core game too.
The genies? Are they?
The gens. Yeah.
What was the
There's some that each one of them add more.
Oh,
and then there's some that nullify some.
What was the Arts of Nikala? What'd that add? Oh, it added the mountains.
Was and the purple.
Yep, yeah, the purple maples.
Yeah.
That's right. Which is like a must-play expansion, just because it gives you, it restricts you more in movement because it adds mountain, plastic mountain
blockades.
Things. Yeah, so you can't go past those.
The thing, and if you'll recall, last year this was my #1 game. Spoiler alert, we'll probably talk about this later. But if there's
fell off completely.
It's 122 now. No, if there is one drawback to this game, and only one drawback because I love this game, is the AP aspect. Because you can't plan ahead, and you have to sit there and you're like, okay, so if I do this and this and there, or this and there, is that going to leave them open? It's like there. So you have to go into it knowing that it's going to be a while. If you're especially like in a 4-player game, it's going to be a while before it gets back to your turn probably because you're going to have 3 other people sitting there. Like I said, that's the only drawback to this game. It's wonderful.
I like to think I'm not AP prone. This game probably is a test to find out if anyone is. But I try to give myself a time limit. It's like, okay, I'm going too long. I'm just going to wing it.
Yeah.
Which is probably what I do here. But this game is fantastic in every aspect, except theme. There's really no theme here. But yeah, it's phenomenal. So 5 tribes, 29.
Perfect. Good choice.
Yeah, I know.
My number 29, I don't believe you've said it yet. I don't believe. Maybe you have. I know you have it, and I know you like it. It was 49 last year, so it jumped 20 spots because of expansions. I love playing this game solo, and it is Terraforming Mars.
59.
Okay, I thought we had talked about it earlier.
59. It will probably rise.
Yeah.
Because I've actually now played it solo.
Yeah, I like playing it solo.
Yeah.
It's a fun little activity.
Mm-hmm.
This game, there was all this talk on this game, and it was so popular and all this stuff, and then you'd look at pictures and be like, eh. The components are kind of iffy and all that
stuff. The artwork's neat because sometimes they'll have realism and they'll have drawings.
Right.
I'm like, okay, this is cutthroat caverns.
I hesitated before I bought this a year or so ago. I'm like, surely with this it's a top 10 game on BGG. And I'm like, maybe they'll come out with a cool second edition with because it would sell in a heartbeat for as good as the game is. And I was like, hell with it. I'm just going to buy the stuff anyway. And this is just a wonderful engine building game, and everything. You always have interesting choices.
Yeah.
Whether you're drop a meteor on the there or whatever. You're messing with the temperature all the time to know what cards you're playing.
Yep.
When you throw in the expansions, the Prelude expansion kind of gives you a starting point, and it's super important. It's one of the almost have to play with it every time.
Yeah.
It kind of gives you that starting point where to go. If I had to look at all the expansions that are out now, haven't really researched to know what the brand new one they just announced
Turmoil
was going to do.
It looked from the art, it seemed like it could be more business incorporated.
Yeah, I hope they don't stretch themselves too thin with the expansions at some point, but I would say the Venus Next one's probably I actually don't own Venus Next yet. That's the only one I don't own.
I own them all.
It adds the extra resource and stuff and the extra board, and I'm just like,
It's for one of those like people who only play like one game. I would assume that Venus Next just gave them something else.
Right.
Just like the Helios and Elysium ones are just a different board.
Well, and see, and I have that, and because I bought the wooden insert through Broken Token, got everything in there. That's nice. I got the. Oh, that's another thing. This game, another must along with Prelude, is some sort of a dashboard template to set over your deal, because if you don't, you're going to lose track of your cubes.
You're going to have a bad time.
Because you bump the table, whatever, the cubes are going to go everywhere.
Yeah,
and you're not going to notice.
It's really a bad design.
It is. They should have come with something like that, or the recessed boards like are popular now. Which that could be something if they ever did a second edition. I bet they do something like that. But so I mean, if you play this game at all consistently, you're gonna have some sort of overlay. With all those things said and all the component quality, I mean, this game, like I said, it's top 10 BGG with the crappy components and with the crappy deal. And you know, and that just is a testament to the gameplay.
Pretty much, yeah, because like you will constantly be, because you're a corporation trying to terraform Mars, and my favorite thing about this game is just the sheer variety of these cards that you go through to kind of like you at the end you'll look at your engine and you're like, well, this is what my corporation did, and you're trying to get the most money, and there's just a bunch of different paths to victory in this with your card play, and even playing it solo, I had a blast.
Yeah.
There's no competition of trying to like screw anyone over.
You're just trying to beat your own scores. Pretty much the solo version is a point.
With the Prelude expansion, you're trying to get to a specific number.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're just trying to advance your score. And you basically go until you get all three of. Now the thing is, it could be bad for some, as this game is long. It's like unexpectedly long, because you're like, oh, we're trying to get these three, and then once you start playing, you realizing how hard it is to get water in and how to get the temperature up, until it's kind of like it feels longer at the beginning, but then you're like, you have enough money and you have enough stuff to just bump the temperature up really quick.
And I would say that this game is not. This is not a beginner's game. Because there's so much stuff going on. Like by the time the game's over, you're gonna have cards everywhere.
It's a tableau.
And this one's gonna give me this. This one's gonna give me this. This one's gonna, and it's just like. So you have to really be able to pay attention to all the stuff that you've done. But as far as for a game that looks like that and that has, because that was the first Mars game, really. I mean. Ever since that movie, The Martian, there was that whole terraforming Mars, and
First Martians was gold.
Right. Well, right. I mean, I know the what is it, Mission Red Planet was out already. Stuff, but this one, like, you just look at it and it's like, this one did it right. That's the best.
Mission Red Planet doesn't count in that. I mean, yes, you go to Mars, but there's nothing like this. Fucking First Martian.
Yeah. But anyway, terraforming Mars. Wonderful, wonderful.
Like, someone was asking, I think it was on the group that we're in, was like, hey, is this game worth getting for $20? And I'm like, no. And the friends I played with, we did the whole campaign for First Martians. And they're like, for $20 I would. And I'm like, look, you had to watch an hour-long how to play. We had to read the rules together, and we had to play a test scenario to figure out how to play this game. Like, I obviously know there's a language barrier between Portal games, but come on, like, really? You couldn't spend any more money to get someone to figure out how to play your fucking game? No wonder it fit. It could have been okay had it not been like, I don't know. I don't know how to play.
Yeah, I think Chad bought it when it was really cheap that time, and I was like...
Pretty sure he never played it, and I do not blame him.
No.
28!
Yes.
My 28 fell from 13, so it fell 15 spaces. But luckily this game just got, like, their expansion funded on Board Game Geek. Not Board Game Geek, what? On
crowdsourcing.
Yeah, on Kickstarter. And because I'm good friends with the designer... and like I was constantly like talking to him, like, hey, what can I do? I kind of helped promote in any small way that I could. Don't know if it did anything, but it is Overlords of Infamy. And the only reason this thing fell, this was actually very high when I was making the list through the index cards. Like it was like in the top 10, and then like just more and more good good games just kept sliding out. I actually didn't realize it was going to be this far back. But Overlords of Infamy, if you don't know, is pretty much your standard worker placement with a very quirky theme on it. And this has been in so many lists at this point.
Right.
But you're an evil overlord trying to complete nefarious plots. So you're sending out your lackeys, which are your meeples, to get your resources, which you then use to complete plots. That's pretty much, it's a standard worker placement, but the theme is amazing. The nefarious plots are hilarious, and actually because you do, there's 3 levels, and I'm drawing a blank on what they actually call them, but there's level 1, 2, and 3. The level 1s are just kind of mediocre, like, hey, I'm starting out, I'm going to be a nuisance, like getting people's socks wet, reducing the chocolate supply, just really like shitty things that are just annoying. Then they get really advanced, and once you do the advanced ones, those are actually have special abilities that will actually affect the game. So then you have these world events, which are also catastrophic. Some are hilarious, and I love this game. And we played. Yeah, you finally did play this.
Yeah.
And they have a adventuring hero that is kind of like your way of pitting each overlord against each other. You can kind of when he moves, the active overlord is the one that moves him, so you can screw people over with him. Then you can also do acts of espionage depending on your level of threat against one another, which is just like, but none of it's like super harsh. Like none of it's game breaking where it's like, oh, if I do this, then you're gonna lose. It's just kind of like you're like hindering them for maybe a turn. So they just have their expansion funded barely. I was asking them, because they kind of like, they had like 15 days left and they were halfway there, and I'm like, oh, okay, they should be fine. But then like last 2 days I was like, I don't think they're gonna get it.
There's so many good things on Kickstarter right now.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, I was like, man, and like no one, it seems like no one ever talks about this game. So I'm like, they sell out every convention they go to. So when people play it, they have to know about it at this point.
Following.
It's
not mainstream.
It has to be, yeah. But so I was asking him, I'm like, can you not reduce your goal? Can you extend your Kickstarter pledge? And he's like, nope. And he was definitely stressed out about it, but luckily it paid off. And the expansion adds oh man, what was the name? It adds a dragon that everyone has to deal with, and then adds more overlords. And each overlord has kind of their affinity and their abilities. And so in the new one, or in the base game, they have Waffles, which is a corgi, a sentient corgi, and then in the expansion they have a cat. So I'm very excited. So that's my 28, Overlords of Infamy.
Alright. I don't know if you've played my 28.
Yep,
I know you have it. It's over here on your shelf. But it fell 10 spots just because of lack of play. It is Colosseum.
It's also down there.
Yeah.
I think it's above Istanbul.
Yeah, I didn't know. It looks like it hasn't been opened either, so you probably haven't played it, huh? But anyway...
All those games,
yeah.
besides the second to top shelf, or I guess the top 2 are games I haven't played.
Gotcha.
So Teotihuacan and down are games I haven't played.
Alright, well, Colosseum is the reprint, because it was a Days of Wonder game several years ago and was out of print for a long time, and then Tasty Minstrel picked it up, did a Kickstarter for it and everything. The theme of this is you have the Colosseum obviously, and you're putting on shows, and you are trying to put on the single best show over a time period. The scoring is what's unique in this game, because each round you're putting on a show, I think it's like 3 or 4 rounds, I think. But if you score 30 points or whatever, you put your score marker there, and it'll stay there. And then if you happen to get a show later on in the game that's 50, then you just move it up to the 50. It just keeps track of your highest point show, to where at the very end of the game, whoever has the highest score is the winner. I mean, that's how it sets up. So you're trying to build your I guess engine a little bit, maybe. It's kind of you're getting money, you're doing different stuff. But the unique thing about this game is there's a little, in the Colosseum out in the middle, There's an emperor. There's all these guys, and you're rolling dice. You're moving things around, and you want them to end up being in your show because then you get bonus money, bonus stuff. So you're trying to time it where they will fall into your place.
Okay.
But there's trading in this game because there's all these little shits that have all these things because you're going to choose a show at one point that's going to say, okay, for this show to go on, you need to have 3 lions, all this different stuff, and you're trying to get all those collected before the end of the rounds when you put on the show. So there's a deal where you're drafting stuff out of the middle. You can openly trade with people. There's variants on trading because there's the original trading thing in the book was kind of crappy. So
really,
so they've changed it to where I play it where you just openly trade if you need to or whatever. So there's your player interaction and stuff like that. You can also build little things in your area of the Colosseum, in your own Colosseum, like grandstands, or I can't remember what they call them. They're little wooden pieces for your emperor, when the emperor can sit on. It just makes your show worth more.
Gotcha.
There you go. As you complete shows, you flip them over, and they give you a bonus.
Okay.
Too. So it's just you're building up your stuff. So technically, you should get your highest scoring show in the last round.
Okay.
Because you're building up each deal. The art gets criticized on this new edition over the old one.
It does look pretty.
I don't mind it at all because I never played the old originals.
Okay.
So I don't care.
Is it once the game's over? Is it just that's it?
Whoever has the highest score wins. Yeah, that's it.
I know that can be disheartening for some, just because it's like you can see who's gonna win.
Right.
Like by the game, it's like
Right, but you see, and some people will be like, well, why don't you just build up and put on a really big show at the end? Well, you can't, because you can try, I guess, but you need to be doing shows early to get those, because when you finish the show, you flip it over, and it gives you a pretty significant boost for the next deal. So you need to be completing shows each deal, or try to, so that you can have those boosts for that last round to have a big show.
Okay.
And then it comes down to the randomness of the emperors and your So it's one. It doesn't sound super cool, but when you play it, it's a really cool game.
Yep. Also bought for reputation.
Right, and I love this version because it has the metal coins in it, and they're really nice. It's got really good. It's just the people didn't like the art, and I don't mind the art. It's tasty minstrel.
Art's subjective, so
right. So, but yeah, Colosseum, my number 28.
27. My 27 is. Okay, I think I changed this. Or I think this actually just probably would fit around here. It's Twilight Imperium 4th edition. I don't think I played 4th edition in the time I made this, so I think I just went ahead and assumed I would like 4th edition. Because I was like, well, I really like 3rd edition, so I can't imagine me not liking 4th. And I have played 4th edition. It was a blast. It's actually way better than 3rd edition in almost every way. Rose from 32, so rose 5 spaces. So Twilight Imperium, have you ever played Twilight Imperium?
No.
Okay.
The time.
So 4th edition, here's the great thing about 4th edition is, it took us maybe about 4 hours to play, which that was with 2 new people. And what makes Twilight Imperium so fantastic is because to me it's the epitome of a 4X game. I know there's always the ones that are like, hey, 4X in an hour, or hey, Sandy Peterson's copy of Twilight Imperium's coming out. It's like, why would I play? Anyway, so they came out with this one, and they streamlined so much. They streamlined the technology, they streamlined the point system. So for example, with the changes that they made, is in 3rd edition, if you went to the center's always Mechatol Rex, which has, I don't think it has any resources, but it has, 6 influence, which is good for politics. Politics can sway, obviously, any course of anything. So, but in 3rd edition, and this is before the expansions, in the game you take an action tile, and that's what you're going to do. So, In 3rd edition, number 8 just gave you a point. Like, you didn't have to do anything. If you took that, you got a point. And it's the first one to 10. And my problem with that was, that's probably their way of quickening the game, but when people are trying to play the game, then all someone has to do, if they don't want to play, is go for 8. And just try it. But then, it's like, well, you just have to take it before they do. But it's like that, then I don't get to do what I want to do. So they did away with that in the expansion. But in 4th edition, if you take 8, it does something else, but you do get a point if you control Mechatol Rex.
Right.
Which is more thematic, because that's the hub of the universe,
right.
pretty much. So that's really cool. The technology in 3rd edition was, okay, you need to have this particular one and this particular one to have this, kind of like Civilization.
Mm-hmm.
You had that, and it was always confusing. In 4th edition, they're all color-coded, so it's like, oh, to get this really advanced one, I need 3 yellow and a blue. That's it. It doesn't matter what those yellows are.
Right.
So it just streamlined the whole process. The combat's still the same. Everything is still relatively the same, but it's just cleaner. And I've done a discussion on Twilight Imperium recently, actually, so you can go check out what everyone thought, especially because there were 2 new players there, which everyone's always like, oh no, Twilight Imperium, what? A peasant like me could never. And it's like, it's not that complex. Yeah, everyone's like the time length, and I'm like, yeah, in 3rd edition it was way longer. This one I felt was shorter. So it's just fantastic. I love that they have politics. I love the card system. I love the action system of trying to, okay, well, I need to do that. And the 4 players, you actually take 2, so you can try and do even more.
Right.
It's just an epic. Like, at the end, you're like, that was awesome. Like, I remember a friend of mine who's relatively passive player, you have a secret objectives that you can try and go to, and I needed, like, a certain planet that had a certain technology icon on it, and the only other one was by his home planet. And at that point, we all had these huge fleets, and I was like, look, let me take that planet. And, like, I'm not going to do anything. And I asked him to do that once before, and then so later on I asked him to do it again, so I just go through a warp hole and move over. So there's my huge army next to his home planet, and then so he moves all his forces back, and I'm like, dude, I'm not going to attack you! And he's like yelling at me. Luckily we didn't get into a fight. Yeah. But I'm like, dude, if we fight, we're both going to lose. Like, we will lose everything, and then one of these guys will take the victory. I ended up winning that game. But anything with negotiation and politics, I really like. But that's my 27, Twilight Imperium.
Except for Spartacus.
Well, and everything in Twilight Imperium is in my control. The game isn't super lucky.
All right.
Except combat. Combat is die rolling.
Yeah. My 27 was 22 last year. It fell just a little bit. And I'm going to pick a specific version of this. 27 is Kingsburg.
Okay.
The 1st edition, not the 2nd edition, because I hate the art of the 2nd edition.
See, it's subjective.
Right,
I like
I know
it.
that.
I have not. I don't even remember seeing it.
The 1st edition is just better. I think it looks more regal and
right,
kingly,
right,
and all that stuff. It
looks a little bit more real, as well.
They tried when they put the 2nd edition out. It's like, oh, we have two extra cards in here or something. It's like,
yeah, it's like I don't care. I don't care about your thing.
And also with the what was the name of the expansion?
Forge a Realm.
Yes, that's really almost a must too if you play this game.
Oh, it's not almost. It is a must.
Well, I mean, if you buy this game and only going to play it once or twice a year,
it's still a must.
Yeah, but anyway, Kingsburg was my introduction back in the day when it first came out to dice placement games, where you have your hierarchy of people within the kingdom all the way up with the king and queen. Everybody rolls their sets of dice, and then you take turns allocating those dice to influence and get stuff in return from different people in the kingdom. Whether it be getting gold, wood, stone, getting to peek at the creature that's coming into, the kingdom to attack, whether you bolster your defense, just stuff like that, you know, and you generally, the higher up you go, the more stuff you get, or the better the stuff is, more or less. I still think the queen is better than the king on that game.
That's usually how it goes. The queen's better in chess, the queen's better in every way.
But what's cool about it is, you know, you have
3 dice. Because they go up to 18.
So you can drop all of them on one on your turn, and then you're just done. Or you can kind of game it a little bit by dropping 2 of them on one of them, save, but then somebody can see what number you have and can really hose you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the dice placement aspect is really cool in this game, and there's also little modifiers you can pick up too, little tokens that'll let you modify a dice. +2, I think. But it goes through seasons, so each round you start out here, and then you get, you'll get victory point for whoever has the most houses or whatever, and you keep going through, and each season different stuff happens. But there's a building phase that'll happen where you get to bolster your part of the kingdom. You can add stuff, just whatever, churches, fountains, defenses for when the stuff. But then once you get to winter, is when the creature. There's a group of, whether it's orcs or demons or whatever the hell, barbarians, will come in. And that's where, if you got to peak a little bit by influencing certain people in the kingdom, you can kind of know what's coming. And they have a certain strength. And if you can beat that strength, then you gain a reward. If you can't beat that strength, then you lose something.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things, like when you add the To Forge a Realm expansion, it gives you more building options. It gives you different modules for battling. It gives you event cards, which I like playing with. It gives you character, like a starting character thing.
Yep, I like those.
Right off.
I like those expansions.
I have had one game end with the king is dead.
The king gets sick and then he dies again.
Like the king is sick and nothing happens, but if that card comes, the second card of that comes back up,
he dies and the game's over.
Right there. So
does everyone lose, or is it still highest score?
I don't remember.
Right. I never remembered if it's just like, well, hey, there's no kingdom to defend.
I think he goes to whoever was in the lead.
Okay.
At that time wins, I believe. But it's a game, and I know the only one you can really get now is the second edition. I would still say if you need to play the game regardless. Right. So art be damned. I mean, it's a good enough game that it's going to be. It was
awesome my 83.
Yeah. This is one of my wife's absolute favorite games. Yeah. It's just a wonderful, wonderful game.
I agree.
And I've always wanted to buy those dice upgrades because they came out with those upgrades where you got these really cool etched, awesome, fancy dice for each color.
Ooh.
And I was like, always wanted to get those, but I was like, they were like $15 a set, and I'm just like, there's 5 colors. I'm like, that's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. $100 for dice.
Yeah. So it's
I mean, the
wooden dice that come with it are
someone made metal mechs for Scythe, and you can buy like it came with a set for one for each faction, which was, I guess that's nice. But I'm like, I want all of them to be metal. Like, I need to see if I can find those because they're so cool.
I don't remember where I saw those at, but I remember seeing that deal.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Forge a Realm, I say, is a must. Even if you ever play it once,
I
need
agree,
it.
Yeah, I mean, but as a beginner, like, because I played for a long time with just the base game before Forge a Realm, and it was fine. It was just,
it's just your town or your section that you're building up. Everyone has the same, so pretty much what people will do, unless they really want to go, is like you're most likely going to be mimicking a lot of what people do, and the expansion adds different layers.
I always go the wizard tower direction.
Really?
So right down that lane.
You always try to go for the caravan, right? Or the little piece that lets you go where people have gone.
Oh yeah, the envoy.
That's a good strategy.
I love doing the envoy.
Yep. I didn't even think about that. That's a pretty good strategy. Okay, 27 is new to the list and is just slowly becoming better and better
26.
26 is new on the list. Is and it, like I said, it's just becoming better and better. The more expansions that have come out, and then the expansions that will be coming out, they are towing that line of most likely getting sued because of the theme, and it's role player. Okay. So role player is, man, it's probably one of the best dice drafting games out there.
I would say
like I can't
without spoiling too much.
I knew it. I can't remember if you had already said it, but I'm pretty sure it's higher up.
It is my favorite dice drafting game.
Okay. I mean, what was the other? Oh, Sagrada. Sagrada was the other one, which I'm trying to find where. I'm pretty sure Sagrada was on my list.
It has to be somewhere.
I love Sagrada. Yeah. It's,
oh, I forgot to add it to it. He forgot to add it to his list. Let's see.
Well, I mean, a role player I do like better than Sagrada. But anyway, I'll look it up whenever I'm not talking about role player. So role player is you are, if you've ever played any type of D&D session, whenever you roll your character and come up with your character, that's this game. Like the adventure and all that stuff, that doesn't exist. But you are right. But in this one, you are constantly you're trying to draft these dice, and these dice are color coded because you have an alignment chart, you have a backstory which just tells you, what colors you need and where they should go to try and maximize on points. Then you have another set card that tells you your attributes, what you're trying to get your attributes at, and then you get stars, or it's not points, stars, based off of how much you get correct. So you're pretty much rolling a character and buying goods from the market, which get you weapons and special abilities as well. And that's it. Which, at first I was like, well, like whenever I saw this, when I watched the run through, I'm like, but the whole point of what makes rolling and making a character fun is that you get to play with them afterwards. And I was like, oh, okay. But then they made the expansion, Monsters and Minions, which I think is also a must expansion.
For sure.
Because what this adds is you do get to go do something afterwards. During the market phase, you can either buy something or you can go fight a monster. And depending on the monster, you might have an advantage against it or a weakness against it. And then you get points for how well you do against this monster. Which I just think is fantastic. Like, it's something small, but at the end of the game, there's always a big bad monster, like a high vampire or something like that, that over the course you could potentially figure out 3 of its weaknesses. And then at the end you just kind of like compare your character and see how well you do against it for a bunch of extra bonus points at the end. And that's like critical because you actually have decisions now besides, oh, what should I buy here? You're like, do I want to buy something that's really good, but I need to fight them? Yeah. And then if I fight him, then I can potentially learn his location weakness. And then it's like, okay. Because if you don't, I've played games where I didn't learn anything, but everyone else did. But I lucked out because my character happened to be built to fight him, and I'm like, oh, thank God, because I would have been screwed.
Well, and that expansion also adds dice that run from 3 to 8 or 3 to 9.
3 to 8. It might be 9.
I can't remember.
3 to 8, but they're colorless, so you don't get the color bonus. But you could get your attribute. But once you place your dice, that's it. Oh wait, no, there's abilities. There's attribute abilities. Once you place, like in strength, then you can do this. Or dex, you can swap. But you only get that attribute bonus when you place the die in there. So over time, once your strength is filled with dice, you can't ever do that ability again. Which leads to probably I don't know what the player count, the favored player count is. I actually like this at 2.
I play solo.
I have not done it solo yet.
I love it solo.
Oh, I'm sure it's great. But with 2, you have less dice to start out with, so you get to utilize your attribute abilities more. In a more player game, you have more of these slots filled out, so you have more dice, which is like you're probably closer to your goals. But you're limited on your ability. Yeah, so it's like, oh god, it's like I want to use all these. So a lot of depth to this game, and they have 2 expansions coming out.
Yeah, that's another Kickstarter I was going to say.
That's one of them is, what was it? Friends and Familiars.
Friends and Familiars.
I have They haven't released anything on it except artwork.
Yeah, and it's gonna be you're gonna have little friends helping you. I think the familiars. They're things that obviously they help
right.
you. I don't know much about
what else it adds.
Maybe you get to rescue people.
Yeah.
Or something and give you
And
points.
then
I don't know.
What was the other? The other expansion is like the campaign, or you actually get to take your characters and do a story.
And that there really isn't anything much about that.
No,
everybody says
that one's probably
Kickstarters this year is what people keep saying, but
if I had to guess, that one is if it is their last one, which it probably will be. That one is going to be way more work because you can't do a linear campaign with your characters. If they're trying to make it as D&D-esque as possible, then you're going to have to try and make it campaign innovative and choice-based to make it worth anything. But I don't know. They might just have you draw a card and then you read it. I don't know how they're going that route. But the fact that they did do more and more to make this feel like you're actually playing a D&D game, I think is awesome. So, Role Player, my 26.
And if you get on, there's a free app on your iPad, the Tabletop Simulator, I think. Or Tabletopia, I can't remember which one of the two. It's a free app, but the base version of this game is on there, and you can download and play it for free. So you can play it on that to try it out and stuff. But it's a super high production value, wonderful game.
Yep, love it.
All right, so that was a new one to your list.
Yep.
My number 26 is also a new one to the list, and you have not talked about because I don't even think you've played this.
Okay.
It's from Restoration Games, and it is Downforce.
I've not played Downforce.
I should have brought it, because it's...
Well, you didn't!
Downforce caught me by surprise, because I'm not a big race car fan, but I played it at a friend's house, and it's wonderful. Like, I have the new map packs and stuff now, too, so you have the different tracks, but when you get the base game, you have a front and two-sided board. But what you do is, at the very beginning of the game, you have little race cars out, and then you auction off the cars to see if they're cars you own or not. And when you do that, that'll be a car you'll actually control on the track and everything. So you could have multiple cars.
Okay.
But then everybody gets hands of cards, and you'll have a specialty card depending on whatever color cars you own. But when it's your turn, you play a card. And on that card, there's going to be like maybe black moves 5, red moves 4, all the way down. So when you play a card, it affects all the cars. And then you, starting from the top, that you move them.
Okay.
So you're in charge of moving them.
Okay.
So you can...
I see.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So you can move yours however you want. It's kind of like if you've played Formula D.
No, I owned it.
Okay.
I never like that theme.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. This game right here is wonderful because it still has the same grid-based track, so you can move around and stuff. So you're constantly playing a card, and everybody's cars move to race. So you have to make that tough decision of knowing, okay, this one's really going to help me out, but it's also going to jump what's his name up.
So do you have like your own car color that you're trying to win?
Well, if you they're the ones that you auction for.
Okay.
But
do you do is there a new auction?
There's three just at the very beginning of the game you auction, like
Gotcha.
So let's say we auction and I get blue and red.
Those
will be my cars that I own.
Is it secret or do I know that you have blue?
Because you'll also get a special ability.
Okay.
But the cool part about this game is there's 3 or 4 there'll be marks on the board that'll let you say, okay, when you get to this point, you have a pad of paper, and you're going to mark, okay, I think this person's going to get first place. This one's going to get second. You don't have to bet on yourself.
Oh.
Right?
Well,
so you look and you see how things are going on the track.
Okay.
And then, and that you keep secret.
Okay.
You do that, and then the next point you go across, you project what you think, and then the third one you go across, you do the thing. And then at the end of the game, you get points for placing, money for placing, because it's money is how you win. That's the ending thing. You get cash. So how you place, people get money for that, and then everybody looks at their wagers.
Okay.
So if you picked correct in the very first deal, which is the early in the race, that row is worth a lot more money.
Oh, okay.
And then it's a little less money and a little less money. But so it's kind of like how the car's placed gives you money, and then how you
bet.
predicted the race was going to end gets you money.
Okay.
And you can kind of, it's not just your like Formula Day. You just roll dice, moved, roll dice, moved, roll dice, moved. This one's every time somebody plays a card, all the cards are shifting and moving, and stuff, and it's just really.
Yeah, I know this
really,
took
really,
a lot
really cool.
of people by surprise on how good it was, because like at that point, like everyone was kind of over racing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't give a shit. But then this came out and everyone's like, hey!
Well, I think it's because everybody was like on Formula Day or Formula D. You know, you played 4 or 5 players. You roll a dice. You were going to move your 5, 6 spaces, and you just sit there. And you go. Now your cars are moving constantly, but you don't always have control of your cars at that time. So it's like, damn it, put me behind you. You know, because you can really hose people on corners if you block up all the spots because you can't go through.
Okay,
cars. I mean, you can really game the system. But there's the special abilities are really cool, because someone will be like, well, on this next card you play, if you use this ability, you can resolve the card from bottom up.
Oh,
so from the small up to the top.
Okay.
So it's like you may want to do that if it makes it to where you can whittle your car through a little hole and then trap somebody behind you or stuff like that. We played it the very first time we played it. We went through, we played, and then we immediately set up, played again.
Really?
Immediately set up, played again, and we just don't do that in a chat and those
It's rare to actually play a game like over and over.
But it's wonderful.
Awesome.
I should have brought it because it's
such
a fast game.
Well, there's a game store relatively near here.
I'm not gonna go and buy that damn.
No, I was gonna go. I can go buy. Well, you can buy it again and give it to me. No, I was saying we can go get it and I can buy it.
But no, it's a great game.
All right, 25. My 25 is also new to the list, which is actually surprising. I could have sworn it was on my list last year. Huh. Well, I mean, I'm saying it's new. It is probably the most meta game that exists out there by one of my favorite companies, Level 99, and that's Millennium Blades. Millennium Blades is a card drafting deck building game about card drafting and deck building, which is such a weird theme that you're like, well, that's not gonna work, and it does. Like, they have their own world set in this where you are. It's like playing Magic. Like you're buying packs, and then or like you're at a live draft tournament where you're buying packs, ripping them open. I mean, not really, but like you're buying cards. And then you're like hoping you get what you want to make your deck work. Except in this, you don't actually build a deck like a 60-card deck. You build a set of 8. So there's 2 phases to this game. There's a real-time phase, then there's an actual just tournament-style-esque phase where in the real-time phase, you have 3 different rounds where it's like, I can't remember how long, but maybe like 10, 8, and 5 minutes as you have less and less time to find cards. So within this real time, you have money, which they have paper money, but they did something smart where it's actually just bills, like that you tape, and it's like wads, so you actually feel like you're dropping a bunch of money, which you do in real life anyway, to try and buy these cards out of these packs, or from the open market where you can trade, and you can trade with people, and you can offer them stuff to trade cards with you. And you're just collecting these cards, and then they have a set collection part where they don't go in your deck, you just have them, and these are like your rares to try and get a bunch of points. Then you are trying to take your best 8 cards that combo off one another into the tournament. So that's the first phase. Second phase, you play your 8 cards, and you just go 1 card at a time to try and maximize your potential of winning and getting a bunch of points. The game goes over 3 rounds, and each time you win a round, you get more points from it. But the game's super meta, because there's also throughout the game, each round you'll flip over your meta cards, which tells you like, oh, these types of cards are really popular, like fire element cards, and soldier types are like the new hotness for this type of tournament. I absolutely love this game. There are so many different decks to shuffle, because the store is just one pile of a different combination of rare cards, and it's just like you could buy this game, and I have everything for it, and I'm back in the Kickstarter right now. which just adds more. And I think they're doing a big box, like they're doing for BattleCon.
I looked at it. I never would play it.
Yeah, I don't know, because like I know you don't like real time, but there's not really, you have enough time to do everything.
No, that's what I watched the video.
Did you?
And everything. I think I would like it.
Mm-hmm. Your family.
But there's no solo mode for it.
There's not. Yeah, you play by yourself.
That'd be pretty sad. I want to get these cards. I want to get these cards. I wonder what his deck's going to be like.
That would be pretty depressing. But you pretty much, you can have your store, and you could never, ever just deconstruct that. You can just have that forever. Because, unfortunately, some of the cards are like, hey, name a card in an opponent's hand, and you can't use that.
Right.
It's like, well, I've never played with these cards before, so I have no idea what he could possibly have. So it does require some knowledge. Level 99 does this actually quite a bit, but they have decks that are obvious spoofs of other famous things. Like they have a Legend of Zelda deck. They obviously don't call it that. They call it something else. They have Mario Brothers. They have Lord of the Rings. A bunch of very popular stuff as decks in this game. It's weird because I bought this at the time that I hated deck building and deck constructing, and I played it and I was like, this is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then now I play Magic and I love that. Haven't played it as much lately though.
The reason this game intrigues me is because, I'm a competitive card player, and that's what's,
that's
I love.
What it's about.
But I don't want
to. You get a special ability, or you have a person that you have, and they have a special ability both in the buying phase and then in the battle phase, which is really neat. And their names are fucking stupid. Like one of them, his name's Dex Aplenty. And there's another guy, he starts out with the most money. That's his ability, is that he always has more money than everyone. I'm like, oh, it's the fucking rich kid that can buy all the good cards. So, one of them is borderline racist because he steals cards and it's a black guy. And I'm like, come on, level 99, really? You had to go that route. People are gonna just assume that, like I just did. But they had more with expansions. They had more characters that you could be. It's just fantastic. I thought maybe I didn't play it whenever we did our top 100. There's so much to it, and I can't wait for the expansion. Not the expansion, the Kickstarter to come out, just because the storage solution is really bad. They also have different unique locations, so that have special abilities depending on if you're playing with those. I've never done that, but it's there. So 25, Millennium Blades.
Alright, my 25 was 20 last year.
Okay.
And it's probably going to continue to slightly slide down, because it needs an expansion of some sort. Don't know what kind of expansion it can use. And this game is Photosynthesis.
Oh, okay. Not on my list.
This game
What did that fall?
really, when it first got announced and it was being kind of hyped a little bit, it was like, oh cool, these 3D trees on the board, stuff like that, and it was like, it looks really cool, and I was kind of, I knew I was probably going to end up getting it.
153.
Okay.
That's what it felt for me.
I was going to be trying it with the family and stuff like that just to see. But then I played it once at the game, at Changing Hands, and it was awesome. Like, it blew me away the first time I played it. How thinky it was, like in a chess way.
Yeah.
Because you had to think, 2 or 3, 4 moves ahead to know if you're going to be getting enough light, which sunlight is your buying resource in this, because pretty much it's a hex board, and the sun is going to be moving all the way around, and there's a sun phase, I guess, that so every tree that gets sun is going to get points. And if there's a shade deal, so if you have a taller tree in front of a smaller tree, then that smaller tree's not going to get any points. So you really have to look and see okay, this one, most of my stuff's blocked, so I know I'm not going to be getting points this round. So, it's just, you really have to think about your stuff. It looks simple, a little deeper than what I was expecting.
What Blue-Orange typically puts
out. Right. Well, and you need to play New York 1901 too, because that's a pretty good one too. Yeah. But anyway, I've played it so much now, and I think that's why it's slipping a little bit, because I play with the same people. So we kind of have our strategies.
I played that game three days in a row.
Right.
I'm over it.
I'm wondering if I keep thinking, what kind of an expansion could you put for this? Like,
you could do
like a
business AI expansion where they cut down your trees.
I was thinking like deforestation. or something. That's kind of
if they really want to make a message,
right?
It's like cutting down the trees,
and
then just throwing anti-vaxxers in there somewhere.
Because there's in my mind there's a way to get, like, if you can get your seeds tossed and get into that middle, and then I kind of let, and then get your tree to grow, and then, you can't, because you get the big point chips when you cut down your tree.
That's what it was. I was like, there was something
right, but I always waited. Like, I would try to get as many big trees out there and then just kind of hold off and soak, because then people wouldn't, if I see, like, okay, they're getting close to doing it, then I would chop it down and try to, it's once you've played it a lot, though, you kind of, if you're playing with different people, I think it would still be fun, like if I played with a new group all the time. But me and my wife and my kids, I know pretty much their goals, and we kind of play the same way.
Yeah, played it. I've played it at all player counts. I did 2, then 3, then 4. And 4 it's actually on the channel. Man, it for us it got old pretty quick, which can hinder us, because that might be another reason why we got burned out on Western Legends, because we played it in a row, and so it's like, maybe that's the problem. But then again, if you can't play a game multiple times, regardless of when you play it, then it's like, well, is it really that good? Photosynthesis isn't bad by any means. I would say 25 is really high.
Well, because it's my family. A lot of this list you're going to see is stuff that my family plays, and I play it a lot.
Get new friends.
Well,
get a new family.
Like, you're going to see a lot, and these are sliding. You'll see a lot of those types of games sliding, and more of the games that the gamery games are going to start really popping in the further we get down.
Right.
Plus, my primary group, my family, are getting into more deeper games now too. So you're going to start seeing these lighter weight ones that have been lower on my list start sliding a little bit because of that.
Yeah. It's definitely a good. Would you say it's a gateway game? Photosynthesis?
I would say, here's the deal. I would say just to toss the game out there and play it, yes.
Okay.
To actually have a chance of winning it, you would need to play it a few times. I would put it gateway-ish, maybe that little step up from gateway, because you do have to think ahead.
Yeah.
Or else, because when the first time I ever played this with people, they toss their stuff out there, and then they're like, oh yeah, I got like 10 points of sun this round, and then three phases where they're just totally blocked out. It's like, you just have to know how to spread out,
right,
and stuff. But yeah, it's mechanically it's simple, but
okay.
Yep. Anyway,
24 is one that I looked at and I was like, well, crap. This game will probably continue to slide back, which is a shame, because I actually don't own this game anymore. It fell from 15. So it fell 9 spaces, and it's Battlestar Galactica. Battlestar Galactica, and here's the thing. So it's still super high on my list, but I actually recently sold everything that I had, because I had not played it in like 4 years. The problem with this game is, did they lose the rights? Did Fantasy Flight lose? They did. Damn it.
That's why the whole thing happened.
Man, because this needs to be remade, and that's kind of, I didn't know they lost the rights, but I mean,
because somebody whoever put out the flight path.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
I remember they did do.
Ares.
They own it.
Ares, I think, owns the Battlestar stuff now.
Okay, well, hopefully at some point, and this is coming from like Vassal's Law, or the thing that they say is Vassal's Law. If it's if it's a good game, it will be remade.
Well, that's a lie.
That's
Bruges has been out for. I am waiting for that damn game, because I've never played Bruges. I've heard so much good stuff about it. It's a Feld game, It's got a great designer,
well, that's why.
and it's been out of print for fucking 3 years, and I'm like, that no, it is not. That is
well,
not.
Battlestar Galactica. Well, most people probably want Battlestar. So I sold it mainly because I was hoping that at the time Fantasy Flight would remake it. I'm like, why wouldn't they? Ares might do that.
Maybe.
I hope.
If they get their head out of their butts with the other games.
Right. But Battlestar Galactica was so clunky by after the third, because they only made big box expansions. One of them sucked ass with the new Caprica, but then the other ones were really good. But this game is probably the best trader game.
I think so, but I haven't played a ton of those.
Let's see. Well, I'm gonna be lying because, well, anyway. It copies the show so well. Like, I played this game this was one of my first games I ever got, and I had never seen the show. But I had played this, and when I did start watching the show, I was able to know who people were and what was going on because they did this show so well in this.
Did you say you watched the show before you played the game?
After.
Or vice versa?
I played it
I
after.
did that too. I played the game before I watched the show.
And then you were like, oh, I know what those are, and I know who that is. But with the Cylon thing, you know, well, you don't know. The first half, you're like, okay, someone could be a Cylon, so we already distrust each other, especially because when you're doing the crisis cards, and the more I talk about this, the more I'm going to regret selling it. But I can always get it back. Someone will always undersell it, and I'm like, ha-ha! But the first half, when you're putting in crisis cards, there's a deck, which I always loved this because I hated those secret put-in cards, and then you reveal, and you know someone did it.
Yeah.
But in this one, you add 2 cards from a random crisis deck, and so if it fails, you're like, was it from this or was it from one of you? And it hides the Cylons so well that it's like, no, I put in, I helped.
Yeah. It keeps that suspicion.
That tension the entire time, and you're like, I hate because it's also one of those things, unlike Dead of Winter, where every spot is almost a good spot to go to. Unlike in Dead of Winter, sometimes where it's like, we need food. Why are you going to the police station?
Right.
You know.
Right.
So
I will say, if somebody chooses to be Gaius Baltar, they're a dick and they're a toaster. They need to be airlines. just out of.
And I haven't. Have you watched the whole show?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I have not.
Oh
so
yeah. I've watched it many
times.
times.
Okay, I really need to. Did it ever start to suck? At some, was there ever
I didn't like the ending.
Okay.
The very last episode. It was fine, but it was just a kind of a letdown because I was like, really, that's kind of where we're going.
Okay.
With this?
Well, because didn't they do? No. Anyway, so
yeah.
It's on my list of things to watch, of my huge list of things to finish. But yeah, Gaius Baltar, I mean, even at where I'm at, I'm like, this guy fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Does he get shot later? But anyway, at a halfway point, once because you need to jump, because Cylons will show up, and then you cannot fight them. So you're trying to jump to each new location, and at halfway point, you grab the remaining loyalty cards, shuffle them up, and deal 1 out. So everyone now has 2, and at that point, you know for a fact that someone is a Cylon, because in the first, in a 4-player game, in the first 4 cards, it could be you're not a Cylon, but no one knows that. But then in the remaining 4, one of those will say you are a Cylon. You just don't know who has it. So it just amps up that already their suspicion another level, because then you're like, I can't trust any of you unless you're the Cylon. And I'm terrible at being the traitor, because I get more angry when I'm not anything and I'm being accused. So Kat has played enough of these games with me. If I'm getting mad, she knows I'm not the traitor, which I guess that's my tell. So maybe I just start getting mad all the time. But man, then the expansions added new ships that you can go to that were awesome. Then it added a Cylon board. But the problem with this, and the reason why I never played it in 4 years, was because it was kind of a beast to teach. And then also, some guy on Board Game Geek, which if you have the game, he made a compressed rulebook of all the rules together and color coded it. Like, so he had, like, for Setup, for example, he's like, this is the way you do core game, and then a section that's in green, if you're playing with this, set this. And it was so well done, that's why I actually started using. But yeah, it just unfortunately never got played.
The length of time with that, because it gets a long game.
Yeah.
Especially when you throw in all the
lot of
expansions. Yeah. But the thing that worries me about this long of a game with this kind of mechanics is you don't want the newbie.
Oh, right.
To get the Cylon card and then because if they screw up,
it kind of
becomes obvious and it's like, okay, god damn it.
Yeah,
we played for 2.5 hours. You fucked it up.
Yeah, that's true. That is, and they had one where you like in an expansion where you can be a revealed Cylon.
Yeah, a Cylon sympathizer.
No, that was different. The Cylon sympathizer I thought was cool.
But there was one you are a Cylon, but you're helping.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was So there was one module that you could just be a revealed Cylon.
A human sympathizing Cylon.
Yes.
Or something like that.
But there was another one where it was new loyalty cards that if someone, because there were ways you can find out. But if they drew that one, some negative thing happened. That was a different thing. But there was one where you're just a Cylon at the beginning and you're evil.
Yeah.
Why would anyone do that?
The last several times we played it, there was a guy that always wanted to be the Cylon.
Yeah.
And he chose to be the Cylon.
Yeah, and I don't get it. I don't know why anyone would do that. Because then I guess it turns one versus many, but that's not the point of this game.
He always controlled 7.
I don't know what that means.
The blonde Cylon.
Oh, the hot one?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
But this guy that did it was gay, so...
well, that's funny. Alright, so yeah, Battlestar Galactica. I might try to seek out the core game. I think I can get the core game played more than trying to get all of the expansions again, because one, that would sink me deeper than I sold. I sold it for quite a pretty penny.
Somebody's selling all of them, with all the expansions for $300 on Facebook group.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't want to spend that much. I think the core game I'll try to get back. But anyway, so this will probably just keep falling back. Yeah. That's my 24.
Mine wasn't even on my list anywhere. I don't know why it wasn't on my list. Anyway, I was looking. I was like, surely it's
probably because you haven't played it.
Well, yeah, but Mass Mora is like 173.
Oh yeah. Maybe.
So I was like,
do you own it?
No, I did.
Oh, okay. Well, that might be why.
Yeah. But anyway, my number 24 fell 10 spots. It's just because it hasn't been played. It probably will climb back up if it starts getting played more, and that's Seven Wonders Duel. I have a lot of 2-player games now. My wife's pretty much the person that plays this because she loves Seven Wonders. Is her all-time favorite game.
Good. Good. That's a good one. Have you guys played the Armada?
Not yet.
Is Armada? Yeah.
I don't even own that yet.
Okay.
Just because.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I will definitely be getting it though. I'm pissed because I have the wooden insert for Seven Wonders, and
I do too, and it doesn't fit.
It won't fit, so
that does bum me out too.
But anyway, but Seven Wonders Duel, really, I mean, you have to know Seven Wonders. it's card drafting, but this one does it different, where you have different shapes of cards on the board. Well, when you pick a face-up card, any of the face-down ones that are uncovered flip over and become something that the other person can get. We've talked about this a lot on this 10 where it needed expansions.
Yep.
The Pantheon expansion brings in these god characters that you can use that are really powerful, and they let you do extra stuff. And it's I haven't heard anything about any more expansions for this game. It doesn't need anything else. It doesn't need anything though, because it's just a 2-player game. It has the Pantheon. That Pantheon adds a ton of replayability to it. And you're just drafting cards just like the Seven Wonders. Pretty much the same winning conditions. It's just a little bit different. Like there's a tug of war, military tug of war. If you can get your power marker all the way to the end of the others, then you win. If you get 6 or 8 of the science, 6 or 8 of the science.
I don't remember. I don't like Seven Wonders Duel.
I like it just because it's fast. It's a simple, quick.
Right. Surprisingly though, because I just played Seven Wonders like very recently because I wanted to play the Armada. Like whenever you add all the expansions, you're like, man, this game is going to be long. It's
not.
It's short and it's simple.
I will argue that. I mean, people have talked about best 6, 7 player games, and that doesn't get brought up all the time, and that that has to be on your list if you're going for big counts like that, because everybody's doing everything simultaneous. So it's like you could a 3-player game of Seven Wonders takes the exact same amount of length as a 7-player game.
That is true.
You're playing a card, pass it.
Which no game has done.
Pass it.
I think the complaint is that is the neighbor thing.
And see, and I like that.
I don't like this. You're playing a solo game at that point.
Not really.
Well, I mean, because it's like, why would I play? First of all, I never have 7 people over.
Right.
So, the second thing for me anyway is I actually like this game at 3 a lot. 4 is also because it's just that one other person. But with 7, it's like, everyone is simultaneously drafting, and that's all great. But I want to interact with the people that came over, so I want to play. So I guess indirectly they affect me because of the cards that are being drafted. Because okay, I have this many. This will not come back to me.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, you two are my neighbors. Fuck you, man.
Right.
Thanks for coming over. I guess.
I take the approach on this, and I know we're talking about another game other than Duel, but
it's true.
Really quick. We'll be talking about this later, I'm sure. But the thing that I go into it on a big game like that. Back in the time when this game, in Seven Wonders, back in the ancient Mesopotamia, all that stuff.
Yeah.
There was a world. You did not travel up to that side of the world.
Right.
So like
you could ship stuff.
Well, but I'm just meaning like when you have a 7-player complement.
Yeah.
You really, legitimately, because of lack of transportation, only dealt with people close to you.
Right.
And same with them. So when I go into it, I'm picturing like, okay, this is like a world, and you're only dealing with that, and that's how the powers were. It wasn't like you were gonna go.
Right.
And that's how I approach it, and that's why I don't think it bugs me.
Cool.
Is because.
Yeah, I mean that definitely makes sense.
Egypt's not going to give 2 shits about what
Athens.
So
yeah, I got you.
I think it's just an approach. And I was an ancient history major in college, so.
Fair enough.
But anyway, but Seven Wonders Duel. 7 Wonders for 2 players. It's a great game, cheap, and
that's true.
And
a game on the list that I completely forgot to tell you games to bring, but is one that I will retry because I hate 7 Wonders Duel, but I haven't tried the expansion. You think it'll change my mind, and it might, which means I'll have to redo the fucking top 10 games I hate.
Mine's already changed.
Oh yeah, for sure. Anyway, 23 is, it rose from 29, so it rose 6 spaces, is my second, might have to revisit this one, but, as of right now, it's my second favorite deck building game, and that is, I figured
it wouldn't be Marvel Legendary.
No, Tyrants of the Underdark, is my second favorite. Dude, like, there's so many good games.
Yeah, I know. That's the.
Anyway, Tyrants of the Underdark is a fantastic deck building game. One that John actually showed me, and I think I have his copy.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, he traded me a bunch. This was back whenever he wasn't a dick. Whenever he traded me a bunch of really good games, the Blood Rage Kickstarter, the Scythe Kickstarter, for Mechs vs. Minions, and I think a few other games. He traded me like I was in the. I don't know what was going on at that time, but anyway. Tyrants of the Underdark is a fantastic deck building game where it adds deck building and area control in the Underdark within D&D where Drow live. So you are a Drow family, and there's a bunch of not really a bunch of take that, but there's some take that in there because you're taking these cards that give you abilities to be able to place like your tokens, and component quality is okay, the little pieces are weird, but to control these areas, which will get you points, and kill other people's drow is what they're supposed to be, to constantly, like the shifting of area control is constantly changing just based off the abilities from this market. Now, what this game does really well besides the area control is the deck building, because you have ways and to actually thin your deck throughout this game. And whenever you thin it out, you actually can take, they have separate point values if they're either in your deck or if you put them into your circle. I can't remember what, but it's like, I can't remember what the theme behind that was. I think it was like they're ascending to like leadership or something like that. But then you place them and you put them into your circle, and then at the end of the game, that's another area where you get points for. This game works well at 2 players. This game works well pretty much at any player count, because the board it shrinks based off of how many players you have. So I love the theme. I love the card combinations. At this point, I'm really liking deck building. This was one of the first games, though, that...
I never thought I would have heard that.
I don't know what happened. I think I was...
You're growing up, Seth. You're growing up.
I'm maturing. Well, this game, and it was such a simple thing, because my biggest complaint, and it still is a complaint with most decks, is just like, now I just don't really think about it. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I bought this, why can't I just have it now? Like, why?
I think, I've thought about that when you've talked about that before, and I think that is it's a leveling out part of the game, because if you're buying something super powerful, then if you automatically get to use it, that can
give you a leg up.
So you kind of have to slowly build.
I guess.
I mean, I don't know. It depends on the game and how hard they make their their monster.
Yeah, well, like as Aeon's End, you don't get it.
Last game. You have to get it.
Yeah, well, you don't even get it then.
Right.
It goes when you buy it, it immediately goes to so it'll come up quicker.
Right.
But my thing was, unlike Aeon's End or Shadowrun, you actually, what you buy goes into your hand, which I thought was the one cool thing about Shadowrun.
Those are ridiculously hard games.
But is, like Marvel Legendary is actually, it hinders it. It's because you buy these people, and then once they go in your discard pile, whenever you shuffle your discard, they could be at the bottom.
They could.
And you're like, so you could potentially, like, see it once, and so it's kind of like disheartening, because you're like, why'd I buy it then?
Yeah.
But anyway, so Tyrants actually had in their rulebook a thematic reason why they're in your, at least essentially in your discard pile. And then, like, it cleaned it right up. I don't know why, it's like, why couldn't I just think of that? But the fact that they took the extra step to be like, well, they're doing this. They're actually on a mission already, and by the time you draw them again, they're back. Like, oh, great, okay.
Yeah.
So it just helped me thematically tie that in. The families that you put in the store are all radically different. They, I guess not recently, a couple years ago, released one expansion. I'd like to see them do more. Who owns this game?
This is Wizards of the Coast, isn't it?
I'll have to look it up. I don't remember. But yeah, Tyrants of the Underdark is great. I don't think I would like it as much if it also didn't have the area control.
Right.
And so having both of those and doing both of them very well, it's a good one. So that's my
number 22 is a game 23.
23.
Yes, my 23 is a game I introduced you and Kat to.
Ooh.
And it was 21. It just fell 2 spots just because some other stuff came in. It is Baron Park.
Okay.
Baron Park came out the same time Photosynthesis did. As far as that is, it was kind of when they popped out. They were 2 family kind of weight games that I went for.
Yeah.
Baron Park, pretty much, it is you're creating a bear park.
Bear park.
Right. Polar bears. There's even koala bears. Koala bears aren't bears, but you know.
They messed up.
But it has polyominoes, Tetris pieces.
Yeah.
And you start off with your little square, and you're taking a shape, you're putting it down, and then whatever you cover, whether it's construction, if you cover a construction site, then you get to grab another square and add it to your park. If you cover up, there's all, I can't remember the shapes you cover up. If it's like a worker, you get whatever. But depending on what you cover up will depend on what you can build.
Yep.
And you just place it down. You're trying to be the most efficient with your placements, because if you can completely cover your board, and there's one little spot that you have to leave open on each board, if you can completely cover that board every space, then you get to get a victory point token thing, a bear statue, and put it in the deal. You can max out 4 square boards, is all the bigger you can go. and you just keep building on and doing stuff. I mean, there's limited numbers of deals, but the pieces that you place down have victory points on them. So like the extra special ones, the gold ones, are worth like a lot more points. But they're also harder to place because they're really crazy shapes.
Yeah.
And that's really all there is to it. It's a solo game. The only interaction is taking trying to take the pieces before other people can. But
I liked it. Is there an expansion coming out?
There is.
Okay, I feel like I saw
but
something.
I don't know anything about when that's coming out. But it is it's a super fun entry game. You know, it's stinky enough because it's a puzzle, and you're trying to puzzle where you put stuff, and
it's cute.
But yeah, it's got good art. Like if you look really close, it's got some funny stuff on the art and stuff, and it's super easy to teach. You're just getting something, you put down whatever you cover up, you get to take those actions, and that's really it. And it's a super simple game to play. But Imperium Park 23.
All right, 22. Rose from 33, so it's 11 spaces. And it rose mainly because this game is such a fantastic co-op game that I think you still need to try, is Black Orchestra.
Oh yeah.
Black Orchestra is a game about trying to kill Hitler! Yay! Killing Hitler! God, my door just opened. I'm like, oh my God!
The ghost of Hitler's coming in to get your ass.
No, Hitler, no! In this game, you play as one of the what do they call them? Different factions, but you work together trying to move around the board, gather resources. Well, not really resources, but gather pieces that can go into your assassination attempts. So you'll get these assassination attempts that you can potentially draw. It's like, okay, briefcase bomb requires this, and this. And if I can get all of these and he's in a certain location, then I'll get to roll this many dice to be able to try and kill Hitler. And he'll move around the board. He has his people with him as well that will affect the location, like it will hinder you or affect you depending on if you start your turn in their spots. And what makes this game so good is just the sheer cohesiveness between all the players, trying to trade goods, utilize cards, and just whenever you go to assassinate Hitler, you have to go to his location, or sometimes depending on where he's at, and roll dice, and you need a number of successes equal to his military level, which constantly goes up and down, and you can try and cause it to go down. And your actions are dice based, so like you'll roll a handful of dice, and then the numbers you get are however many actions you get. And then, whenever you go to try and kill him, if you fail, then that's that. You still have the card, but all the items that you used are now discarded. So it's like, God, we failed, and this sucks because now great, he moved. Okay, well now we can't do it. So it's very thematic. It's a very thematic game when you're trying to pull off these attempts. And over the course of the game, events will happen, and then once one deck is depleted, you go to the second one, which opens up a new section of the board and new cards. Then you just go up, and you lose if everyone gets arrested, or if you go to the last round, where the whole board is available, and Hitler is pretty much unstoppable at that point, trying to assassinate him. So it's interesting to me because it's also all the cards, the event cards are historical, so they all are based off stuff that did happen. And it's funny because I've done a run through for this on my channel, and my whole family's German on my mom's side, and my cousins watched it and they thought it was hilarious because they're like, only in America would a game like this be made. Like you would never see something like this be made in Germany, because they're trying to be like, hey, let's move past that. Let's forget it happened. Let's not forget it happened, but let's say we're not about that anymore. So they thought it was pretty funny that just I get it. You would never see a game like this be made really anywhere else. Black Orchestra is awesome, and I love every time I play it. It's just so stressful, but in a good way. So that's my 22.
All right, my number 22 is new to the list.
Ooh.
So obviously a big jump.
Yeah, that's true.
This was one you actually introduced me to by letting me borrow your copy.
Sagrada?
Yep.
Yeah. Got 3 family weight games in a row.
Yeah, like I said, and some will be pushed out.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. So Sagrada, dice placement. Pretty nice translucent dice.
Mm-hmm.
Dice drafting, dice placement, strategic dice placement.
Mm-hmm. A little bit more brain burning than like you would expect it to be.
Oh yeah, because what you do, so dice get rolled, you draft dice, you place dice, but you have requirements because at the very beginning of the game, I think you get 2 or 3 of those cards you get to choose.
It was my 53.
Okay.
I forgot to look it up because whenever we talk about photosynthesis.
But you get 2 or 3 cards at the beginning, and you get to choose which one you want to attempt to do.
Mm-hmm.
The harder one's worth more points, but it's obviously harder because it has more requirements.
Yeah, but I think you get more of those like beads.
Yeah, you get more of the whatever they call them.
I can't remember what they call them either.
But
Mancala beads.
Yeah, but anyway, so I always pick the hardest one just because. But then you have these restrictions. You know there'll be colored squares on your board, so you have to put that color there.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's squares that just have numbers. You have to put that number there. But you cannot put throughout your whole deal. You can't have any of the same numbers touching each other or the same colors touching each other.
Mm-hmm.
So you could really fuck yourself in this game early.
Yeah.
And by the way, you also have a secret point objective.
Yep.
As if you have the most greens or whatever. There's different stuff. For as simple as the mechanics are of this game, even more than photosynthesis, because I like what I had said about it a little bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
Late game when you have 4 or 5 spots left and you're trying to figure out like, oh my god, or when the dice get rolled, it's like you better not fucking take that green,
Maybe they do, and you're like, I can't take any of those.
So it's like it is Floodgate Games that
they're another really company like Level 99 that makes unique themed games,
right?
And good games.
It's just. I knew I was going to like it, and I knew my wife would like it. So when I borrowed yours and played it, it was an automatic. I don't have the expansion yet.
It's about to make an app.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yep. The expansion adds more cards and 5 to 6 players.
Yeah, I'll never play at 5 to 6 player, but the cards adding would probably be good. So I don't know what else to really say about it. It's a wonderful.
It's also just beautiful to look at. At the end of the game, you get to see your window, and it's as close to your stained glass as. It's nice. It's a pleasant game.
Those beads that you get
are
actually because there's jobs. Cards or whatever.
They're like special. Like one of them, for example, is like because you also have to. You don't get to just place your dice anywhere. You have to branch it.
Right.
From a corner, but then there's ability that you can get that you don't have to do that.
Yeah, there's these abilities out here, and that's what you place those beads on there. That's what those extra beads are.
Yeah.
You place them out there to do
but
that
then
action.
But
it costs more.
It starts to cost more and more to keep using it. You can't just keep dropping one.
The design of this game was very elegant, I would say.
I think it's probably the game that put Floodgate on the map. Another game Floodgate did, which I think was on your list, if it's not already said, is the Vault Wars.
Yeah, I love Vault Wars.
And so Floodgate just hits on all cylinders. They just had a game on Kickstarter about...
Is that Bargain Quest? Is that them?
Bargain Quest was not them.
Okay,
I did back that game. No, you would think it would be, though.
Yeah.
But no, it was about like leaves. Like falling leaves, and just the artwork was beautiful.
Yeah.
News at 11 was Floodgate as well.
Yeah, that's right. But so anyway, Sagrada just awesome theme, and I know that Azul came out with a stained glass version. I don't. They're totally different games. So I mean, I know.
Are they?
Theme, yeah, they're way different. So you may they're the same theme.
Yeah.
But they're played totally different. Okay. So that's not a copy by any means.
Gotcha. I didn't think they would play the same. It's just the theme. It's like, how convenient that Sagrada's a popular game, and then now you guys come out with one.
And I couldn't tell you which one I liked more.
Okay.
But I hadn't played Azul Stained Glass before.
Oh, okay.
this. So.
Alrighty, 21, and the last one for this segment. I don't know why I'm looking at that. Fell from 9, so it fell out of my top 10. And also 12 spaces is Cosmic Encounter. There's a couple reasons why this game fell, mainly lack of play and just at this point from 20 up, it's just like probably just new.
Yeah.
Like a lot of things just kept coming in, which obviously will change by next time we do this. But anyway, Cosmic Encounter is a phenomenal negotiation game. That's really all it is.
Yep.
And one thing that they were bold to say at the time this game came out was no two games will be the same, and it's probably one of the few games that holds true. Just because the sheer amount of there's like what 170 aliens.
I've never played it, but I just know it gets talked about a lot, like Ghost Tower and stuff. So I've heard a ton about it, but I've never played it.
I love this game. 170 aliens with all their completely unique powers that sway the game drastically. And last time I have played this before. But the time I played before that was actually with Robert and John because they said they hated it, and I'm like, okay, this game is one of those games where it definitely can be by the people you're playing with, because it's negotiation based. So if you, some of these abilities on these aliens are just insane, and some are like a lot more passive, but it's all about how you play them as well. So like some abilities, like one of my favorite ones was, I think that the alien's name was like Rage or Hate, and it's like if you trigger this ability, then you have to discard a card from your hand, and if people can't discard the same card, or if it's an attack card of a power higher, then then you get to remove one of their ships from a planet. So you just constantly can do. Like, hey, okay, fine, fuck you guys, and I'm going to get rid of this, and oh, you guys can't do it, then bam, I'm just going to take your ships. Because you win once you take over 5 planets that aren't yours. So you have 5 available, and I think there are 25 ships total of your color. They're essentially just discs. And once you take over 5 planets, then you win, and that's constantly swaying. People's abilities will just, some of them, whenever you go that, like, because you can ally, like, it's like, oh, and who you're attacking, or whose turn it is, you never know. So it's like, okay, well, it's my turn, and I have to attack white.
Right.
Okay. So it prevents you from hosing one person, which I really like, and then at the same time, you're like, okay, I'm attacking, does anyone want to ally with me? And if the people ally with the attacker, and you win, then they get a planet. But if you ally with the defender, then you can take like reward cards or more cards. So, and obviously, if you have 4 planets and you just need a 5th one to win, then no one's going to ally with you. But there's card play, there's negotiation throughout the entire time. Your alien ability, which helps. It's a phenomenal game. Flare cards, which are if you happen to get your own alien's flare, then it doubles your ability or makes it even better. But you can also get other aliens' flare cards, which are kind of neat, depending on the alien. Yeah, it's awesome. It's like I said, almost anything negotiation based, I really like. This game the game can turn on a dime on you if you're doing well, because people won't ally with you anymore. So that's my number 21.
All right, my number 21 is also new to the list.
Okay.
It's another one you introduced to me.
I've introduced so many to you.
Yes.
I don't remember.
We won on the first try, co-op.
That I introduced to you?
Uh-huh. One last flip of the card.
Oh, Aeon's End.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, what? Wow, I thought that actually would have been higher.
Well, it's just because I haven't played this. It will go up higher.
Oh, okay.
This is just the first time it's been on the list. I just need to play it more.
Yeah.
As well. Because a lot of that stuff I haven't played with yet, you know.
Yeah.
Aeon's End, which will be talked about.
What?
But this is it's a unique deck building game. It's what I like about it is they've done a really good job of creating their own world.
Yeah.
With this, it's not like an IP or generic. It's completely unique.
Mm-hmm.
But you are it's co-op, and you're protecting Gravehold.
Yep.
So there's going to be some huge, mean-ass
Nameless.
monster, nameless, yeah. And they're all super unique as far as their what they all bring something new to the table. I think the one we played against was tainting the dealers. I can't remember what one
Which
it
one
was.
did we do?
I
can't remember.
There was a track.
Oh, okay, yeah. The one, yeah, it is taint.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but
But anyways, we came down to one card flip. If his card came up where he got to go, we lost. If your card came up, we won.
Yeah.
And then we happened to win on one card play. And any of the games I've played, it always seems to come down. Either you get demolished or you barely win.
Well, yeah, it's like they've done such a good job with balance in this game. Like the entire time, you feel like you're doing horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're like, man, like I feel like we're losing, but you're really not. It just like they I don't know how they do it, but they made it to where you just. Because there's no good way that the initiative tech can go.
Right.
Like even if you go, if you're playing 4 players, even if you all go in a row, all that means is that he gets to go twice and you can't react to it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know how they do it because it seems like every time I play it, it's like, it's always on the wire.
Yep. And I think that like when you're casting a spell, you have to prep it and you have to do all this. So it's more thematic.
Yeah.
That way it's not just like firing lightning out of your ass.
Yeah.
Automatically you actually have to
it has to come through these breaches.
Right.
That's where you get your magic.
You're pumping them up, getting ready. It's, and then the deck building aspect of going in and buying some, gems and more spells that go into your deck. But that's the cool thing. That's the big unique thing about the deck building process is what we talked about just a little bit ago with Tyrant, and we were having that discussion, is as you use cards, they go into your discard pile, but you'll never shuffle your deck. They just, when you run out of cards, you just flip that deck over.
Yep.
So you have an idea.
So you get to put,
if you use 3 really powerful spells in a row early in the deal, when you flip it over, those 3 powerful things are coming right back again.
Yep.
So you can kind of plan a little bit for that.
Yeah, because whenever you play your cards, you technically put them off to the side, and what you buy immediately goes in. So it'll be on the top, technically.
Right.
Then the 4 or whatever cards you spent, you're like, okay, I want to do this one here, and then these 2.
Choose the order.
And it seems like every time, now you can, what you just said, you can spread it out to where it's like, okay, I'll almost get a decent hand every single time. I don't do it that way. I'll get one mega hand, and then one shitty hand, and then a good hand, and then a shitty hand, and it just go back and forth like that. And that's what works for me.
They have to have done their due diligence play testing this.
Yeah.
Because with, they had the core set come out. They have...
Which looked awful, by the way.
Right, and then they corrected themselves on
Yeah.
that. And then War Eternal came out. And now there's the Kickstarter for...
Well, there was Legacy.
There's Legacy, and then there's the Kickstarter now for End of Age?
New Dawn?
New Dawn. New Age.
New Age. New something.
It's New Age, I think, because Age is in it.
Age of the New Dawn.
Yeah.
Ow, my elbow.
But it's like, they keep coming out with these big core sets, and there's so many Nemesis.
They just keep
now
doing
nameless.
Well, with the new one, because Rado did the New Age, is what it was called. He did a rundown of it and just explained. Now there's a lot more collusion with the what do they call them? Breach mages.
Yeah.
Is what they are. Which is probably one thing that the game was lacking. Was there was some, especially some abilities that people had that you could help each other out. But this one, it seems like there's a lot more, like, working together. Which all that means is that the Nameless are going to be disgusting.
Bigger, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then, like, the new set, they just added the new add-on expansion for this Kickstarter that's on right now.
I haven't looked at any of it.
There's like a $15 add-on expansion. It's Into the Woods or something, so it's outdoors. It's all, like, woodsy, like, foresty stuff.
Huh.
Or something.
Yeah,
so it's one of those little boxes, like the... Nameless and stuff, it's like 15, so you can add that on too, and it's...
Yeah, I plan on getting everything for it.
It's nuts, for sure. It's... because I love deck building games, as you'll see, the more we do. That's one of my favorite mechanics and stuff, and then this one did a little different.
Yep.
and stuff, and having the breaches and having all that stuff. It's just super unique, and I think that's why it's going. I know it's going higher on this list. The more it goes.
Yep. So.
But yep, that's it.
That's it, everyone, for this segment. Let us know what you think of these games in the comments below. But stick around because it's just going to get better and better. We have 20 games left to talk about. But other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this, and if you like this video, then click the subscribe button below to enjoy any video that I put out. And right next to that subscribe button is a little bell. Click that so you get notified of whenever I actually upload these videos. If you want to support the channel, you can definitely visit my Patreon page. The link is in the description below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.